What if I told you that one of the biggest teen heartthrobs of the 1960s vanished at the height of his fame to avoid going to war, only to return with not one but two life-changing secrets that would shock millions of fans worldwide? This is the untold story of Davy Jones and the desperate measures he took to protect everything he'd built. David Thomas Jones wasn't supposed to be a star. Born into poverty in Manchester, England on December 30, 1945, he grew up cramped in a single bedroom with three sisters. But tragedy struck when he was just 14 years old. His mother, Doris, died from emphysema, leaving young David devastated and his father spiraling into depression. With his family falling apart, David made a shocking decision that would change everything. He abandoned his dreams of stardom completely and decided to become a horse jockey instead. While other kids focused on school, David dropped out to train at the prestigious Newmarket stables. He was actually good at it too, showing real promise on the track. But fate had other plans that would drag him back into the spotlight whether he wanted it or not. Here's where the story gets wild. David's jockey trainer, Basil Foster, happened to be friends with a casting director who desperately needed a teenage actor. Despite believing David had a real future in horse racing, Foster made a call that would change entertainment history forever. Before David knew what hit him, he was cast as the artful dodger in Oliver, and suddenly he was performing on stages from London's West End to New York's Broadway. The performance was so convincing that he earned a Tony Award nomination. But the moment that would truly seal his destiny came when he shared the stage with the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. Standing backstage watching thousands of screaming fans lose their minds over the Fat Four, David had an epiphany that would drive everything he did next. He later recalled, "I watched the Beatles from the side of the stage. I saw the girls going crazy, and I said to myself, this is it. I want a piece of that." Little did he know that getting that piece would nearly cost him everything. By 1966, David Jones had officially joined the Monkees, a manufactured TV band that would become a real-life musical phenomenon. But here's what fans didn't know. David almost missed his big break entirely. Even though he was under contract, producers still made him audition against serious competition. The original pilot episode was actually a complete disaster, scoring record-low ratings that nearly killed the show before it started. Only an edited version featuring David's screen test saved the entire project. Once the show took off, something incredible happened. In 1967, the Monkees reportedly sold more records than the Beatles and Rolling Stones combined. But behind the scenes, David was struggling with the intense pressure. He was working 12-hour days filming the show, then spending nights in recording studios, surviving on less than 4 hours of sleep. As he later admitted, he called his manager for diet pills to get going, then drink beer at noon to give the pills a kick. The grueling schedule was taking its toll, but the worst was yet to come. What made the pressure even more unbearable was how little money David was actually making from his massive success. Despite being the star of a hit TV show that was generating millions in revenue, David and his bandmates were only earning $450 per episode in the first season. By the second season, their salary had increased to $750, but that was still peanuts compared to the empire they were building for others. The real kick in the teeth came from merchandise sales. While Monkees' lunchboxes, posters, and other products were flying off store shelves, David and the band earned absolutely nothing from those sales beyond their music royalties. When David and Mickey Dolenz finally took Columbia Pictures to court in the late 1970s to get their fair share, the settlement was laughably small, just $10,000 each. This financial strain would play a crucial role in the desperate decisions David was about to make. David's fame had become so massive that it literally forced another musician to change his identity forever. A young British singer named Davy Jones was trying to make it in the music business. But there was one enormous problem. There could only be one David Jones in the spotlight. So this unknown musician made a decision that would create one of the most iconic names in rock history. He changed his name to David Bowie, reportedly telling his first American fan, "Nobody's gonna make a monkey out of you," said my manager. The cultural impact didn't stop there. Star Trek producers actually cast Walter Koenig as Chekhov, specifically to mimic David Jones's shaggy haircut and boyish charm, hoping to attract younger viewers to their show. David had become such a cultural force that other entertainment properties were literally trying to copy his look and appeal. Then, in 1967, at the absolute peak of monkey mania, David Jones did something that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. He completely vanished. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. Fans went into full panic mode, spinning wild theories about what had happened to their beloved heartthrob. Some thought he'd been kidnapped. Others feared he was dead. The truth was far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. David had received his draft notice for the Vietnam War. The official story is that David starved himself for 3 weeks straight to fail his military physical. He deliberately made himself so malnourished and weak that the army would have no choice but to reject him. It was an incredibly dangerous gamble that could have caused permanent damage or even death, but it worked. Meanwhile, Monkey's producers were frantically rushing to complete the second season, assuming their star would be shipped overseas. But there's another version of this story that's equally shocking. Some sources suggest David avoided the draft not because of starvation, but because he was the sole financial support for a family that he had started in complete secrecy. The situation became so serious that it sparked an international incident. British fans were so outraged about the possibility of losing their idol that they organized an actual protest march to the US Embassy in London, carrying signs that read, "Leave Davy Jones alone," and "Don't take Davy away from us." The protesters even delivered a petition to President Lyndon Johnson himself. When David finally returned from his mysterious disappearance, fans were relieved beyond measure, but their joy wouldn't last long. In December 1967, with monkey mania reaching absolutely insane levels, David slipped away again, this time to secretly marry Dixie Linda Hands in a private ceremony in Mexico. The couple lived in hiding, keeping their relationship completely out of the public eye. It wasn't until their daughter Talia was born in October 1968 that the secret finally exploded into the open. The reaction from fans was brutal and immediate. As a teen heartthrob and frontman of the world's biggest boy band, David's entire appeal was built on the fantasy that he was available and single. When millions of teenage girls discovered their dream boy was not only married, but had a baby, the backlash was devastating. David later explained his reasoning in Tiger Beat magazine, saying he believed stars should be allowed a private life, but the damage was done. Fan clubs disbanded, record sales dropped, and the magic of monkey mania began to fade. The revelation about David's secret family life contributed to the end of his marriage by 1975. And it marked the beginning of the end for the Monkees' massive cultural dominance. The band's relationship with their producers became increasingly strained, especially after they demanded creative control and walked out during filming of their psychedelic movie Head, co-written by a then-unknown Jack Nicholson. The walkout created an irreparable rift that would haunt the band for years. By 1970, the Monkees had officially disbanded, leaving David to pursue a solo career that would never reach the incredible heights he'd achieved with the band. Despite his undeniable talent and charisma, David's post-Monkees years were marked by a series of disappointments and missed opportunities that puzzled music industry experts. His second solo album managed to produce Rainy Jane, which climbed to number 52 on the Billboard charts, but it was a far cry from the chart-topping success he'd known. David Jones continued to battle personal demons throughout his later years, marrying twice more and having 2 additional daughters. His passion for horses never left him, and in 1996, he actually won his first professional race riding Dig Past. But the pressures of fame had left their mark. On February 29, 2012, David was found unconscious in his car after spending the morning with his beloved horses. He had suffered a heart attack and died at the age of 66. Even in death, controversy followed him. His third wife was completely excluded from his will, leading to legal battles over his estate. David Jones' story reveals the dark side of 1960s fame, the impossible pressures, the life-altering decisions, and the personal sacrifices that came with being a teen idol during one of the most turbulent decades in American history. His desperate attempt to avoid the Vietnam draft and his secret marriage showed just how far a young star was willing to go to protect both his life and his career. While his choices may have cost him his marriage and contributed to the Monkees' downfall, they also demonstrated that even at the height of fame, Davy Jones was determined to maintain some control over his own destiny. His legacy continues to influence popular culture today, from the rock legend who took his name to the countless musicians who followed in his footsteps. The question remains, in a world where fame demands everything, how much of yourself are you willing to sacrifice to keep what matters most?